class, good morning. We have recently been talking about standard 7.6.3, which includes the growth and development of manors and towns in medieval Europe. So what we're going to talk about today is look at the relationship between the two and a balance. Now what I have here are a bunch of different items that some, of course, rather more contemporary, that you might find in a medieval manor or in a medieval city. A painting, some wool garment, I think this might be satin or something, an atlas, which in this, for the purpose of this class, will be a map, some plate, some chainmail, some wood, book, food, glass, nutmeg, beeswax, candle, jewelry, and soap. Okay, and so these are things that during the Middle Ages you might find in a medieval manor or city. Now what I want you to do is one person come up at a time and select one of these things and put in something you would find either in a manor or something you would get in a city. Okay, so let's start from my left. So you come up first, just select one of these items and put it over in either a manor or a city.
Which side is manor and which side is city?
This side is manor. I forgot to get the cards to have them labeled, but this side is a manor, this side is a city. So just one of these items, and where would you find it? Okay, now why would you find a painting in a medieval manor? Why would you get it from there?
Because the owner of the manor would be a patron of an artist.
But where would he get it? Because he would have to buy it from somewhere. Where would he
get it from? A city.
He would buy it from an artist in the city. Okay. So now, Sean, you're next. Come up here and select.
I think this fine silk gown belongs to the lady of the manor.
Yes, but where would she have to buy it? It's not what someone would own, but where would you buy it?
Oh, are you saying where would we find it, or where did they acquire it from?
Where would you acquire it from? Where would you go to acquire it?
The merchants on the caravan.
But where the caravans go through? But they'll end up having to go through the city because they'll get that from abroad. They'll bring it to a port city, and from there, a merchant might bring it out to the countryside and sell it. But what's more likely is that the medieval lord, the next time he's in town, he sees it, he gets it. So this is something you would find in a medieval city because this is something, one, it's rather fine material. And so you won't find something like people making that in the countryside. And the next thing is it's probably imported. And so that it would have to go through a city. Okay, now your turn.
I would have to say they would make the food in the manor.
Okay, good job. The food, that's one of the big exports, really, of a medieval manor is food. And one of the big things that they would export. And towns, the cities had a very large demand for that. All right, next. Sorry.
I'm going to copy her and say that nutmeg is from a manor.
Why is it from a manor?
Because it's a food item.
Well, think of where spice, it's a spice. Though.
It's probably going to be
Where does nutmeg come from?
It's someplace
It
tropical.
comes from Asia,
Okay.
in the area around what we know as the Spice Isles. Okay, so if it comes from Asia, then it has to come to Europe and on a boat. If it's gone on a boat, how is it going to get to the land? It's got to go through a port. Okay, so if it's going to go through a port, that means it's going through a city. And then a merchant might take it from there and peddle it through the countryside. But where you would find it, especially in any significant quantity, is in a city. The cities are going to control how much of it there's going to have the supply and how much you're going to pay for it. So they're going to control the supply and the price of spices. Okay, so next item, okay, Paul, come up here, select one item, tell me whether you would acquire it in a medieval manor, which is over here, or a medieval city, which is over here. Just any item. We've got some chainmail, some plate, leather, some wood, a book, soap, bees, wax, candle, glass, jewelry, a map, and
And the question is, would I
Would-
acquire it?
would you acquire it in a medieval manor or a medieval city?
I took the item.
Yes, you get to pick the item, any item here.
Okay, I want a book.
Okay, where would you find it? Where would you
I want
acquire
to
it?
find it in the manor,
Why would you acquire it in a manor?
because I would expect that they would be, I guess I would expect that they might be more elevated in their education.
Well, this is the countryside. Pretty much the only person on a medieval manor that has any education is the noble and his family. And that's very rudimentary. Plus, the
Sorry,
first
Mom.
printing presses were invented
Okay,
and took off in the cities because that's where the publishers could find a large audience that could have the money to buy the books,
okay.
especially to get the raw materials. So you would find this, go ahead and put this over here.
Okay,
The book is something you would generally find, you would acquire in a city.
in the city, okay.
In a city. Okay, so Sean, you next.
All right.
I think the manor has people chopping down trees, producing wood.
Good, good. Another thing you'll find in the manor, there's a lot of force around. They're gonna chop the wood. People in the city might buy it, but it's gonna come from the countryside. All right, you're next.
I'm gonna have to say they'll have the leather and the manor because manors are usually surrounded by wood, so then they'll do the hunting and getting at the manor.
Good job. They'll have the hunting there. They'll also have the livestock, generally on the manor, and so they'll get the leather from that. Okay, so next.
You're up, Ben.
Maybe I can give it this one. I'm gonna say the glass is from the city.
Good job. That's something you'd find in a guild in city. You're not going to find glass, you're not going to acquire it in the countryside, in a manor, because it's too expensive for them to make, and there's not enough demand. Enough people to buy it out here, so they're not going to make it out here. All right, Paul, you next.
Oh, man.
Just do a round
I'm
robin.
all for one. Okay, these are things already.
Mhm. If you're already looking at these items, you may see a trend. So think about what possible trend you could see.
This is what?
That is beeswax, candle made of wax.
Okay, I'm guessing either between the soap and the beeswax. Beeswax, I would get in the city.
Is that your final answer?
Final.
Okay, good. And beeswax, beeswax is the expensive kind of candle that you get in the Middle Ages. You might find something of horse fat or another animal fat that you find in the countryside. Okay, next, Sean.
I think the stinky manor people are making soap
Why would they make soap?
because they have the lye and they have all the fat from the stuff that they're butchering to mix together.
But see, soap is expensive.
Only if you get
Soap
perfumed
is
soap.
expensive, and there's not that many people in the manor in the countryside who can afford it because the nobles squeezing them with heavy taxes. There's actually a soap-making guild that you would find in the cities. Next,
I'm going to say the blacksmith is in the city.
the blacksmith is, but there's blacksmiths in the countryside, and this kind of armor you would actually find over here. The reason being is because this armor is easier to make. You don't need a large oven to melt down the metal and get a lot of impurities out. It's a lot easier to make this, so you can actually make this in the countryside. All right, next. So if you see this over here, you get a pretty good idea that the other piece is going to be over here.
That's right.
And you had armor working guilds in cities such as Milan who could actually turn out thousands of suits of armor in a single day. So you're talking about 9,000 plus in a month. All right, we have 3 more items. Next.
All right, Paul.
Okay, what are my 3 items?
You have
You got
gold,
jewelry,
jewelry, or maps.
And a map.
Map.
Mhm,
Okay, and jewelry.
mhm.
Oh, man, I'm 1 for 1. Let's see, I'm gonna go with the jewelry, and I'm gonna find that in the city.
Okay, good job. Jewelry, there's another guild for that in the city. so 2 items left. Next person?
Is it you or me?
You.
I'm going to put the map in the city,
Okay.
because they get to talk to all the caravans and everybody coming through.
They can talk to the caravans, they talk to the ship owners. And that's the big driver for maps in the beginning, was the ship owners. All right, we have the last item.
I would say that is made in the manor from the livestock they have.
Okay. All right, wool, that's definitely something you find in the countryside. England in particular was known as the main wool producer in Europe. Okay, so can you tell me something, somebody tell me one characteristic about these items that they have in common, as opposed to those?
Rustic.
Rustic? Okay, what about these?
Refined.
Refined. Okay, another word is cheap, expensive. So your cheap stuff, your bulk quantities are going to be coming from the manors. And that's where the medieval lords have their political stronghold, their political power. Whereas the expensive things, where the money is, that's what you're going to be finding in the cities. And those are going to be run by merchants, businessmen, officials, and people like that who are not affiliated with the feudal system. So what you're going to have over time is that eventually the cities are going to get richer, and a lot of the manors along the countrysides are going to get poorer. And so how these two entities, the cities and the manors, manage that and how they react is going to determine, in part, how strong they are or weak at the end of the Middle Ages, and is going to eventually influence how weak or strong each country is when they embark on colonization and imperialism. When we get into that, we'll look at several factors that's going to affect how a lot of leading powers such as the Portuguese, Spanish, French, Dutch, and English did compared to each other as a colonizing, as an imperial power. And two of the factors in this is an urban economy and a rural economy and an urban economy. And how each country goes about this relationship is going to impact that thing. So, that's what we have for today. Now, after this, we're going to take a break and we're going to do a little reading. And then we're going to come back to this and discuss some more on it.